I'm so sorry of that. Welcome everyone. My name is Zahra, and I'm part of the team at Protect the Rohingya. Tonight is Poetry Against Genocide, and it's the 8th annual commemoration of the Rohingya genocide, which took place in 2017. The Rohingya historical tradition is a largely oral tradition, and poetry is key to preserving and passing down this tradition. In order to commemorate the Rohingya genocide, we thought it best that the team at Protect the Rohingya and all of you in attendance tonight also participate in a Rohingya tradition that is more than 800 years old. Beyond Rohingya oral traditions, poetry is also a really important tool. It gives a voice to the marginalized and the voiceless. It helps us to feel empathy and solidarity with our fellow human beings. It helps us to care or even take action against genocide. It assists us to learn from the past, and poets can speak truth to power in the form of critiquing systems of oppression or outright challenging them. Tonight, we have chosen to highlight 8 lesser known genocides for you, 4 of which are currently taking place. The first being the Palestinian genocide. Please see my colleague lighting candles for each genocide. The second is the genocide taking place in Sudan. The Rohingya genocide that we're here to commemorate tonight. And the genocide taking place in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Going a little further, there's the Bosnian genocide, which took place in the 90s, as well as the Rwandan genocide from the same era. The one I learned about for the first time in creating this event was the Cambodian genocide that took place in 1975. You'll notice that the genocides I mentioned span a little bit of this century and most of the last century, but the one we don't talk about as much happened right next door in Namibia, and that was the Namibian genocide, which they say is the precursor for the Holocaust. This year's genocide commemoration has 2 parts of it. The first is the Poetry Against Genocide online campaign, in which poets could feature their poetry on the genocide, a poem against genocide Instagram page. And the second is tonight's evening filled with live poetry. This event and successful online campaign would not have been possible without the help of our dedicated comrades. And I'd like to say thank you to a few of them right now, namely Abida, Amara, Ned, Mahdia, Mariam, Marta, Sauda and Fazana for traveling all the way from KZN to be here, and Kader and his lovely team at IT Corner who are feeding us tonight, and Philippa, as well as her teams of poets, Jamila Roshani, Deepika Nath, Basiwala Natabi, Sahar Carter, and Justin Blankenshire. Also, if you see my t-shirt and you think you're in love with it, the good news is that they're on sale here tonight. We have 35 limited edition Protect the Rohingya t-shirts and they're 350 Rand each. Please see Miriam in that corner if you're interested in buying one. I'd like to kick off our poetry evening by sharing a poem about the Rohingya genocide with you. This is how you send off a 16-year-old daughter you know you'll never see again, by Sarah Aziz. 1. With a pair of solid gold earrings, as her grandmother puts it, the only thing worth anything in the camp. a folded crimson sari with lipstick to match, and a prayer blown onto her eyelids. A firm floor that they cannot pull from under her feet, an average husband, a window so that she can look at the birds. Two, they have birds in every country, and men, and wood. You know this. Any other country with a warm corner to sleep in when it rains. Three, she prays for rain, sticking out her tongue like a child. There is an old saying where you come from, but she cannot recall it or where you come from. You know this because you never told her. Your forehead spelt her a daughter of the sea. There was only one pair, twin stars like gilded breaths, bending. She drinks liquid salt. This is how you send off a 16-year-old daughter you know you'll never see again. Um, so the good news for everyone is that despite my attempt at poetry recitation, I'm not responsible for the poetry curation tonight. Philippa is. Um, right. Dr. Philippa Yardavelier studied journalism at Rhodes University and theatre at the Jacques Lecoq School in Paris. She lectures creative writing at Wits University Johannesburg and is a distinguished alumnus of Rhodes University Journalism and Media Studies. I'm now going to hand you over to the Philippa and her team of poets. Please enjoy your evening of live poetry with us.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. I hope I can live up to it. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Do we have to do this? Okay. It just. How's that?
You're gonna move around.
No, but I'm not going to be here. I'm just going to be here very briefly.
Okay, so
And they're going to count one by one. Do you want me to use this? Okay. What do you think I should use this? Is it on? Should I use this? No. Thank you so much for coming. What we wanted to do with the poetry this evening was to create a sound current in order to really try to find the feeling of what it means to be a human being that is accompanying other human beings on this very difficult journey. I'm very, very grateful that my team of poets agreed to come along. These are all people who are studying poetry, and they also help to find the poems. They came with poems and they came with their own stories because poetry is personal. People carry their own lives into poetry. And that is what we are bringing to share with you, so that you too will recognize yourself and recognize others. When you think about genocide and you think about the numbers of people who have been killed, it can be a very deadening experience, numbing, one that just sort of you no longer care. So for us, it was very important that we reactivated your hearts and you remember who you are. And genocide is something that is happening everywhere right now. But it's a big word. It means so many different things. You can't hear? Okay, I'll so talk louder. How's that? They don't want the mic because they say it echoes. So, yeah. How's that? So I think I would just like to ask that you welcome the poets. I'm going to tell you their names one by one, and they're going to stand up because the way we've thought about this, we've been led by the poetry. So we sat together and we read poetry to each other, and we got feelings from the poetry, and we thought rather than doing it the usual way and like telling you, we're going to introduce the poets. You'll meet each of them. You'll see what they look like. They say stop.
The people over there can hear nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. Come closer. Come to here.
我们上对一个在咋上嘛？哎呢，
So,
基本上买到 one after.
but also, can you hear? They can hear. But maybe if I hold it down here, it's about position. Aha. So it's got to be down here. Okay. Down here. Okay. Thank you for the patience. So I'm going to start off with the first poet. I'm going to call Jamila Roshani. Please stand up, Jamila. Please put a hand together for Jamila. I'm gonna tell you all of them, and then we're gonna start, okay? So Jamila completed her MA, her honors in creative writing last year with distinction, and has been doing poetry around Johannesburg, which is her adopted home. And you've probably seen her at a number of things. They're a well-known slam poet. And next we have Faswila Natabi. Please. Faswila is currently busy with her honors in creative writing, and has been doing poetry for many years as well. And then we have Justin Blankensee, also busy with his honors in creative writing, focusing on poetry, and also a musician. And then we have our Sahar Carter, who came all the way from the United States, the United Snakes, to do their MA with us in creative writing, and is also a person who works with metal and is a sculptor and a visual artist. And then last but not least, Deepika Nath, somebody who completed the MA last year, also with distinction, a poetry collection called The Shadow Pool, which is probably going to be hitting the shops at some point. And so we welcome you to poetry. We welcome you to an evening of recognizing the suffering, the courage, the resilience. Please, will you start, Jamila?
I guess you should.
The sound.
Good evening, everybody. Is the sound okay? Yes? Higher, lower? Okay, I think this works. Cool, good evening. My name is Jamila Roshani. I am a poet of German Iranian descent. And for this evening, I've decided to mostly focus on the genocide against the Herero and Nama people in Namibia, committed by the Germans in 1904, from 1904 to 1908, actually. And it is a genocide that is still barely recognized in Germany, barely spoken about. It took, I believe, the government until 2021 to officially recognize it, to officially issue an apology, which is barely anything at this point. And there's still, no talks of reparations, no talks of land redistributions. White Germans still own 70% of the land in Namibia. And so even though it is over 100 years ago, it remains an ongoing injustice, an ongoing open wound. So the poem I will start with is by a Namibian poet who is a descendant of the survivors of the genocide. His name is Keith Brees. And he has been very, very active in raising awareness around the genocide. This is titled Stories About People Who Can't Speak. Some stories pick up fallacies with time dependent on its authors. They are bent and contorted to suit the safeties, securities, and sanctimonious civilizations of those who dig with the gun and farm with blood and drink of denial while telling stories at their dinner tables with children around, reminiscing on adventure and conquest in now disgraced places. Thank you.
Good evening. I see a lot of Muslims in the crowd. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Faswila Natabi. I am Ugandan by birth and I was raised in Johannesburg. Today I have decided to focus on poems about the Rwandan genocide that took place in 1994, as well as the ongoing genocide in Sudan. The poem that I'm about to read is On the Bank of River Sobat by Nyalo Awu. On the bank of River Sobat, a detached umbilical cord is buried and 5 words I kept in my pocket. Isolation and wisdom, light and virtue, and the shade of a vague pain on thick lips, my lips shooting at a hollow point, my mouth trying to shed off the burden of words and the dagger. Among the burnt grass, I went searching for old pleasures, for a fallen mango tree, for a wave with a golden light pointing to the direction of eternity, to the south, the abode of papaya in the warm land, the grazing heaven for cattle, and the sticky clay bond. But what I saw was a bird carrying the blue silence towards the Nile. The water's sadness was pink, the decomposed fish, the sum of daily carnage, the war mark on the body of the South. And yeah, the tall stalks of grass, they die when elephants choose them as battleground. And the tall folks cherishing the dream of a South simple and beautiful, but they die in war. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Hi. My name is Sahar. As you heard, I'm from the United Snakes of America. Today, I'll be reading a series of poems for you, but for today, I'm reading a poem by another one of our comrades, Sunny Morgan, who was not able to be here today. So I'm reading his poem on the 30th commemoration of the Bosnian genocide in his place. Hope you enjoy. The voices of the dead cry out from under the rubble. From the very soil itself, the cries ripple in time, bodies in mass graves, crushed by the weight of indifference. They shout from the graves, silenced by the hatred and injustice from the ether, the stench lingers. Its foul taste stings my nose and irritates my throat. The dead cry through the sounds of the cries of the living, who mourn through days and nights of nightmares. The dead don't pass silently. They confront and challenge us, accuse us, judge us. The living of the dead die over and over and over again in the telling of the trauma. No dreams, only nightmares, each episode worse than the last. Genocides alter us. No one is immune. We learn, we don't learn. We protest, we celebrate. We speak out, we remain silent, we confront, we see, we look the other way. Genocides change us. No one is immune.
Hi, everyone. Is the sound okay?
Yeah.
So this poem is by a Cambodian poet called Sokuntra Svai. Sokuntra Svai was born in a refugee camp in Thailand after her parents fled Cambodia, and she grew up in the States where her family resettled. She's a founding member of the Cambodian American Literary Arts Association. And the poem is called Reincarnation. I came of age in the arms of Lord Shiva. He welcomes with stone sculpted arms. I slurp curry, crimson as a monk's robe tinged with the sun on his morning arms, what locals call pig's blood. I think of you as the wind in Battambang. I hear mother's murmur as she searches for her past on the stranger's land. What remains of you is gone. Sandals kick the dirt in a hiss of spray. The cold night you died, boughs of palm trees shuddered. A smoke screen of incense covers our relatives. Palms clutch apologies, chant in Pali before your name inscribed on offerings. We are a family of alliterations. Shared consonants echo generations in every utterance. Sotir, Sotai, Sru, Sri, Srau, Sreng, Sarah, Soraya, Han, Haun, Pai, Pound, Pom, Pa, Peng, Sokuntari, Sokuntarit.
Should I use this one? Okay. Evening, everybody. My name is Justin. This poem comes from a collection that was released. I knew it. Yes, this poem comes from a collection that was released kind of earlier in the decade, and it was concerned about the aftermath of the Bosnian genocide, living with the legacies now. It is by Selma Sotic, and it is titled "My Father's Skin Looks Just Like the Surface of the Moon." They told you shrapnel made men celestial. That's why you joined the army. In midsummer, when weather vanes carousel, you pull your silence taut over our house. Nothing bad will happen to us now, not with you standing sentinel at the edge of our sleep, guarding against the peace thieves. In the living room, you and I mummify, waiting for the rains to pass. Dust settles on our eyelids, the choleric mahogany. Should you ever speak, I'd tie my hair to the hooves of your voice. I'd have my death by dragging out with the water dream sunk. I'd ask if you've seen the moles in the garden, the bird nest under the eaves. I'd ask how many you captured, how many did you kill? Thank you.
Hello again. Can you hear me well? Thank you. This poem is about the Namibian genocide. It's by John Mahoney. O king, bones ground to chalk, the Herero cry in dust. The Kaiser had enough. He sent the general to impose his will, ending the Herero as the people. Von Trotha says, wipe out rebellious tribes with streams of blood and streams of money. 10,000 heavily armed men and a plan for war. Von Trotha says the Herero, who in their blindness believe that they can make successful war against the powerful German Empire and the great German people, I ask you, where are the Herero today? 20 skulls gather dust in the drawers of the German Monument to Anthropology. King skulls in drawers. The Herero cry in dust. Is our language ever rich enough to name the evil man has levied? Is sin enough to encompass the vast, the richness, the full depravity of our visits to the Herero? Is our language ever rich enough to name the evil man has levied? O king, bitter herbs, unleavened bread, the Herero cry in dust.
Hello again. The next piece is by myself. I wrote it as a response to a place where I used to study in Berlin, one of Berlin's or Germany's leading universities. And in one of the basements, there's a place that used to be the eugenics, so-called eugenics institute, where they used skulls and other fragments of bones and people to conduct all these pseudo-scientific experiments to justify their racism. And those bones were only buried in 2023 in Berlin as well, not even returned to their home countries. And I mean, the victims are not identified until today, but it is said that it is a mix of both bones by or victims of the Herero Nama genocide, but also Nazi crimes, right? Which I think really shows how connected these crimes are. And it also made me think about how even now, with the ongoing genocides that are happening, there's a connection through all of them, right? And Germany plays a very crucial role in being one of the perpetrators. So this is perpetual haunting. What happens to ghosts whose wailings go unheard for 115 years, doomed to haunt a country of blocked ears, bones locked in basements on the city's furthest edge, where walls are thick with mold and silence, and dust still reeks of classified hate? What happens to a country that dares to capture ghosts for 115 years? Where cracks fester beneath suburban homes, dried blood hides between mortar and brick, flags flaunt high in sanitized air over neatly cut lawns behind polished gates. A clean world built on dismembered bones. What happens to ghosts whose wailings go unheard? What happens to a country that tortures the undead? And what happens when tremors of fresh massacres rattle through the country's rotten foundation? Nothing. Nothing new. Nothing. Everything always, always the same. No changes in this old, cold country. Everything cemented in pain. Thank you.
So this one's about the DRC. It's called Viral. It's the little things that catch the eye. The smallness of his daughter's hand, her foot on its side close to his, provides a reference to the absent space where she might lean against him if she hadn't been cooked. And he, unmoving, watched by two men, arms crossed, as if to remember the feeling of having hands while they still do. That image flew around the world, gathering the emotions Nsala failed to display. The first genocide photo to go viral. Shame, outrage, dismay, shock curdle into a numbness that is less than the sum of its parts. Now the photo circulates on phones with rechargeable batteries. There are 136 billion indexed images on Google. 14 billion are shared on social media every day. Almost everything has changed, except the numbness.
How's it going? You all right? Yeah. Do we need a break? No? You just want to go? Yeah, because why should we have a break? They don't. This poem is called History by a South African poet called Dawn Garrett. And I chose to read it. Oh, okay. Like that side. This one. Like that. Okay, sorry. So this poem, I chose to read this poem because it's about something that's very specific. It's about a photograph by Sir Alice Seeley, Lady Alice Seeley, who traveled to the Congo in the 1900s, early 1900s, and took photographs of what was done. The poem is called History. I chose this poem because it sort of encapsulates a lot of what we understand about colonization. Colonization is a word that's used all the time, and it's kind of lost its flavor, you know, like a bubble gum that gets chewed for too long. And then you read a poem that just revives the flavor and builds the anger. History by Dawn Garish. As a child, I pictured the history of Africa, Dingaan betraying Piet Retief at dinner. Today, in my son's textbook, I see how a black man sits and looks at two objects lying at his feet. You can tell by the hunch of his shoulders, by the way his hands hang slack. You can tell by the faces of the other black men standing around, helpless. Look at him. Look. This man failed to obtain his quota on a Congolese rubber plantation. Therefore, and forever, he sits and looks at the severed hands of his 5-year-old daughter.
This next poem is written by Julianne Okot Bitek. It is titled 100 Days. If you are unaware, the Rwandan genocide took place over 100 days, from the 7th of April to the 19th of July, 1994. I am reading from day 1 to day 10. Day 1, I have nothing. I stand before you with nothing. I am nothing. You stand before me with nothing. I don't know what I know, but I know that you know nothing. Having come from nothing to nothing and from nothing, let my nothing meet your nothing. We may find something there. Day 2. This will not be a litany of remembrances. We know who the guilty are. The guilty know themselves. This is a charge against the witnesses and those who cannot speak. This is a charge against those who speak incompletely and incoherently, against nature who saw everything and did nothing, against the bodies that dissolved and the ones that refused to dissolve, and those that insisted on writing the landscape with bones. This is a charge against pain, against heartbreak, against laughter, against the dead. Day 3. We were mocked by faith. We were mocked by these things. A torrent of accusations falling like rain, bayonetic lies. We were mocked by faith in tiny shards, by the cross with its pliant figure, representing grace, or representing the presence of God. What God in such a time? What God afterwards? What God ever? Day 4. is written in the Acholi language. The Acholi language is part of northern Uganda. Achel Ario Adek Angwen, Achel Ario Adek Angwen, Achel Ario Adek Agwen, Achel Ario Adek Agwen, Achel Ario Adek Agwen. We have run out of days. Day 5. What do I remember? Nothing but the contagion of stories. What do I want to say? What do I want to say? Day 6. Images from those days return like silent movies. The available light of the rest of this life, and I can't hear anything, just the silent movies. Day 7. We stumbled into a place where words go to die and where words come from. First, we bathed in it like sunbathers, then we washed ourselves in it. We rinsed our mouths out, shampooed our hair, swam in the words, and at night, we covered ourselves in words and went to sleep. At night, the nightmares returned, but the dreams also came. Day 8. Justice woke up and went to work, but no one showed up. Justine, not Justice, went to work, but no one showed up. Justine and not Justice woke up and went to work, but no one showed up. Woman woke up and went to work. No one knows where Justine and or Justine are. Day 9. These days circle and circle and circle and circle. Some days soar from above like kites, others circle around and around like hyenas waiting for the story to die. Some sit, some stand in long legs, vultures wait. Some stay, some change seats, others come and go. Some dive in, some walk, crawl, cycle, dial on the radio to listen to stories in embers, stories of flame, stories in stories, stories stroking stories, stories stalking stories, stories in circles and circles. These stories haven't yet killed me. Day 10. What indeed constitutes the criminalizing function of language in media? Stuffed, hacked, punched, pumped full of bullets, slaughtered, and left to rot on the streets. Pigs, dogs, cockroaches, people murdered, calculated and rated on a per hour basis, and sometimes exacted to ethnic and tribal differences, struggles, divisions, clashes. Never people you know until they are. Thank you.
Oh, right, got it. This one. So this one's about the Bosnian genocide. It's called Mostar, which is a small town in Bosnia, which sort of dates back to the days of the Ottoman Empire. And even now, the town is divided quite neatly by a river between the Bosniak Muslim side with like old architecture, and the other side, which is primarily Croat, Soviet style sort of architecture. Mostar, Bosnia and Herzegovina. In a city hidden in a valley, in an old mountain, in a new country, the hills appear smooth from a distance, as if they didn't still cushion leftover mines. And the green too is a reddish brown, as if color is on wartime rations. A ceramic cross highlights the moon from a God's eye view made for snipers who trained their sights on the faithful who dared the open air. All night, the ghostly sign shadows over fields of still more crosses in several white beds of the dead, organized by siege and the crosshairs of submission. On foggy days, you forget it's there.
This poem is called Locked Eyes by Monica Sok. It's about the Cambodian genocide that happened between 1975 and 1979. 25% of Cambodia's population at the time was murdered, so 7.8 million people. This poem is called Remains. Today I can't look at the ocean. There's a skull in the wet sand. It's bleached white and freshly chiseled, and it's looking at my face. This morning after rain, I walk alone on this beach. It's nameless now. I hear not even the calm blue sky. I lift the shape gently, like a conch, mouthing to myself, what did our father say about us holding skulls? Respectfully, Guantre. If I press my palms against its temples, return it to the rubble, I'm thinking of you, Bang. Its missing gaze rotates towards the water, a maze in sand, some labyrinth I know from our childhood days when I hear my father's voice. Go on, Guanche, go on. Don't be afraid. The high cheekbones will smile to your own smile. Don't look away.
This next piece is by a Palestinian poet by the name Musab Abu Toha, who is a Pulitzer Prize winner, by the way, recently awarded, but also a survivor of the ongoing genocide in Palestine. This piece is titled The Moon. She's lying on the asphalt, her small belly, her chest, her forehead, her hands, her cold feet bare in the night. A hungry cat paces. Shrapnel rings as it hits neighboring houses already bombed. The cat grows hungrier. The cat sees the girl, her wound still warm, hungrier. The girl's father lies next to her. On his back, the backpack he wears still has the girl's favorite candy and a small toy. The girl was waiting till they arrived to eat her lollipop. The cat gets close to try the flesh. A bomb pounds the street. No flesh, no girl, no father, no cat, nobody's hungry. The moon overhead was not the moon.
Hello again. This next poem by Peter Balakian was written in remembrance of the Armenian genocide. It has no title. I tried to imagine the Vilna ghetto, to see a persimmon tree after the flash at Nagasaki. Because my own tree had been hacked, I tried to kiss the lips of Armenia. At the table and the altar, we said some words written ages ago. Have we settled for just the wine and bread, for candles lit and snuffed? Let us remember how the law has failed us. Let us remember the child, naked, waiting to be shot on a bright day, with tulips blooming around the ditch. We shall not forget the earth, the artifact, the particular song, the dirt of an idiom, things that stick in the ear. And this next poem is written by a Palestinian poet named Najwan Darwish. It is titled, Who Remembers the Armenians? I remember them, and I ride the nightmare bus with them each night. And my coffee this morning, I'm drinking it with them. You, murderer, who remembers you?
Back to Namibia. This piece is by the Namibian poet Kavivangua Kahengwa. It's titled For Grandma Who Crossed the Thirst Land, 1907. Yellow onshore winds raged and ravaged an agony of death. 80,000 voices howled. Forever they faded like a burial dirge. With the luck of an elusive prey, Grandma escaped the massacre. Like a desert lizard, she took cover behind the scorching Namib desert. On the way, from the same thirsty nipple, father, son, and daughter suckled. A belief in immortality of human life, its invaluable being was waded through the Kharagadi sand dunes as wind starts to change colors from yellow to ebony. Grandma, whose hair refused to gray with age, perceives the freedom flame. Thank you.
So this one's by a Rohingya poet called Mayu Ali. He's a Rohingya poet and a refugee who's the founder of the Art Garden Rohingya Project, which I think is maybe only on Facebook, but I'm not sure. But their Facebook page has the poster for today's event. So for the organizers. So this poem is from February 2021. It was written in Burmese originally. It's called The Waves by Mayu Ali. The water of the Irrawaddy is longing for its companion, the breeze. The river is searching for the shore. As long as its currents are flowing, we'll keep clutching, clawing, and striving. As long as the waves are roaring, we'll keep rising, growing stronger. This is the beginning of the third wave of struggle to recover Myanmar's peace, to save our golden land once more.
This is the last poem. It is written by Safia El Hilo. She is a Sudanese American poet, and she writes greatly on the experience of displacement. It is titled Self-Portrait with No Flag. I pledge allegiance to my homies, to my mother's cool and small palms, to the gap between my brother's two front teeth, to my grandmother's good brown hands, good, strong brown hands, gathering my bare feet in her lap. I pledge allegiance to the group. I pledge allegiance to laughter and to all the boys I have a crush on. I pledge allegiance to my spearmint plant, to my split ends, to my grandfather's brain and gray left eye. I come from two failed countries and I give them back. I pledge allegiance to no land, no border cut by force to draw blood. I pledge allegiance to no government, no collection of white men carving up the map with their pens. I choose the table at the Waffle House with all my loved ones crowded into the booth. I choose the shining dark of our faces through a thin sheet of air. Glowing dark of our faces slick under layers of smoke. I choose the world we make with our living, refusing to be unmade by what surrounds us. I choose us gathered at the lakeside, the light glinting off the water and our laughing teeth, and along the dark of our hair. And this is my only country. We stand with the survivors of Sudan. We stand with the survivors of Congo. We stand with the survivors of Rohingya. We stand with the survivors of Palestine. We stand with the survivors of Rwanda. We stand with the survivors of Cambodia. We stand with the survivors of Bosnia. We stand with you all in your absence.
We invite you to take a handful of petals and think beautiful thoughts for those who could not be. Let's have a moment of silence. You have not done nothing. You have hands. You have eyes. You have ears. You have listened. And you will remember. Please take these petals. Give them to the wind. Give them to everyone you see. Do not forget. We are all survivors. We are all killers. We are all responsible. This belongs to all of us. Thank you.
Can we get another round of applause for Philippa and her team of amazing? I just want to remind everyone that if they really loved my t-shirt, they can still get one. It's 350 Rand over there with Miriam. And all proceeds from t-shirt sales go towards Protect the Rohingya and our projects that we run in the Rohingya refugee camps and with the Rohingya diaspora. Also, if you've looked at your table, you've seen this piece of paper. The two QR codes are for the Protect the Rohingya Instagram page and the Poem Against Genocide Instagram page. And that's important because if being here tonight was really inspirational and now you want to write your own poem, then please submit them to a Poem Against Genocide. We're still taking poems. Lastly, thank you. Oh, also, if you're wondering, we do take card and cash on the t-shirt. So don't stop yourself, get a t-shirt. And then lastly, thank you to all of you for coming out on a Monday night to commemorate the Rohingya genocide with us. Thank you so much. Please give yourselves a round of applause and have a lovely night.